and productive manner. We hear from our community in a number of ways, and community input at our board meetings must be respectful and civil. In order to complete the work and have safety of community, students, and staff, and board members, we continue in a number of ways and community online at our board meetings. Do you hear an echo? I'm sorry. Are you hearing an echo, Donna?
I'm not anymore.
Okay. This is consistent with our policies, which do require online meetings. We are the example for our children that are watching or participating. Our ability to have this meeting civilly is what makes our community strong. We have community comments first, followed by a 10-minute recess, and then our board meeting. Community comments. Community comments is an opportunity for our community to share their ideas and opinions with the board. Input is welcome and valued. It's our duty to keep it safe and respectful for everyone. That includes students, staff, and our community. This is not a time for discussion or debate. I ask that there be no political campaigning. If you have materials for the board, please send them to the board's executive assistant, who will distribute them to the board members after the meeting. Letters to the board are always welcome, and each of us read the input. Requests for information should be requested as outlined in policy KBA-AR. 1. Any individual desiring to speak will have indicated their desire prior to the board meeting. 2. A speaker will require to give their name, city of residence, the group, if any, that is represented. If there are more patrons desiring to present comments and time allotted, the board chair has authority to reduce the presentation time for individual speakers or institute a prioritization with first priority students and city of residence. Speakers may offer objective criticism of district operations and programs that are of concern to them. The board is restricted from hearing and will not consider complaints regarding any individual district, staff member, or any person connected with the district. 4, as an organization centered around youth and their positive development, all speakers will model respectful public comment and be mindful of civil discourse. We'll keep the order of speakers announced by me. After making your public comments, please exit the Zoom meeting. You may continue watching the board meeting on North Clackamas School District YouTube channel. And first on the list, I have Michael Corbis speaking for Kylie. Please state your name, city of residence, and then the timer will begin. And you're speaking on behalf of your daughter.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can go ahead, Michael.
Okay, it's Michael Corbis, Oak Grove. Last time we spoke to many of you was at your event rally. Many of you were there. My wife and I and our daughter got tickets online and went there because we felt you were purposely not hearing us by not following through on your promised investigation into the hate and threats towards my daughter and son, and trying to silence us with the many rule changes, including the recent change of limiting public board meeting comments down to once a month. I had some talks with some men and fathers that night. One was encouraging, but 2 others were very disappointing. We can talk about that later. But the worst part of the night involved a journalism media teacher in the North Clackamas School District, who also seems to be an important part of your the future coming.
Michael, I don't want you to, you're giving so much information and you aren't supposed to disparage anyone connected to it.
Listen, I'm not using anybody's name.
But there's so much information we can tell who you're speaking about. This time, you should be speaking about your daughter on behalf of your daughter.
I am speaking on behalf of her, okay? It's coming up. Because we showed up to stand up and advocate for our son and our daughter, she threatened my wife and daughter, Kylie, saying she was going to call Child Protective Services to have our daughter, Kylie, taken away from us. That teacher is a vicious bully who's so filled with...
Hey, I'm sorry, you're going to have to discontinue. Calling people names is not going to work. So I'm sorry, you're going to have to discontinue. Seth, do you want to start the timer again? So our next speaker, Michael, you have 2 more minutes, but I can't have you speaking about anyone connected to the district that can be easily identified. Is he back in the room?
I don't think he is in the room.
Okay,
I think he dropped.
okay,
You may try and rejoin though.
okay, let's go on. The next speaker is Jillian McSweeney Nicodemus. Is she in the room?
Yes.
Welcome. Jillian, will you state your name and city of residence, and then the timer will start after that.
Jillian McSweeney Nicodemus, Milwaukee. Thank you, Chair Bauer and board members and Dr. James. And a special thanks to all the teachers out there that are doing such hard work right now for our students. As an elementary school teacher, we spend several lessons reviewing what small problems and big problems are in class. Small problems are those that children can solve on their own. They can walk away, ignore, find another activity, etc. But the big problems are those that kids seek out a trusted adult to help keep someone safe. Bullying is an example of a big problem. That's someone who continues to harm someone over and over again because they see them as vulnerable. I was at an event recently where two parents, Michael and Jennifer Corbis, interrupted speakers with shouting, got uncomfortably physically close to people, yelling.
Jillian, please don't use the name and just continue. Go ahead and continue now.
Inappropriately close, saying appalling things, and really modeling what a big problem is and what bullying looks like. Most people in the room that night were educators, and they were dysregulated for a really long time. And I can speak at length how that affected my husband or myself. However, I would like to speak to the effect on children. My 7-year-old son was witness to this alarming behavior, and he sought help from us as well as his school counselor. It took 4 adults in his community to help regulate him and help him feel safe and to know that his dad was safe in the community. We have to model how to solve problems for our kids in our community. What tools and strategies do we have? How can we collaborate together to achieve a goal? That's what we teach our kids. And we can't afford to perpetuate the use of fear and bullying to get what we want. That's not a community that I want to live in or that I want for my son or for my kids at school. So I challenge all of us adults to solve problems like my son and my students do. Thanks.
Thank you. Is Michael Corbis back in the room?
It does not look like it, no.
Okay, let's go on. Desi Nicodemus, please state your name and your city of residence. Welcome.
Desi Nicodemus, Milwaukee. Thank you, Chair Bauer, board members, Dr. James. I recently witnessed an incident where a parent interrupted a private event, yelled, and demanded an apology about the way his children had been treated. While it's understandable to want an apology, the way this parent chose to communicate his grievances was inappropriate. As this parent yelled at the people, it caused distress to some attendees, including my own 7-year-old son who witnessed the outburst. I understand that the parent was upset and wants an apology. It's natural to want an apology when someone has wronged us or hurt us in some way. Apologies can provide a sense of closure and validation that the harm we experienced was recognized and acknowledged. I must emphasize that the way this parent chose to express their frustration and anger had consequences that affected not only them, but also others around them. This behavior can be frightening and intimidating to others, especially children. In fact, their outburst caused distress to my own son. After we came home, he began crying after witnessing their behavior and needed to talk to his school counselor because he was worried about something happening to me at city council meetings. He actually asked to speak to the Milwaukee city manager and the chief of police about my safety. I believe this certainly was not the outcome that this person intended. I do not doubt that this person is passionate about their cause, but it is important to recognize the way that you choose to express that passion can have significant impact on others. When your passion turns into something that is harmful or disruptive, it can undermine the very message you are trying to convey. I urge you to consider the consequences of your actions and words. Would I like you to apologize to my son and the others for any distress or harm that you may have caused? Yes. But I would like you and everyone to think about this. Apologies alone are not always enough to fully address the underlying issues or to prevent future harm. While apologies can be a valuable tool in addressing harm, they should be accompanied by genuine effort to do better and prevent
Thank
similar
you,
harm in
Jesse.
the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Strive to be better.
Thank you. I just want to remind the earlier speaker, the first one, Mr. Corbis, that you have been, we hear your concern, and we've told you before to file a complaint if you have concerns about your student through our policy KL. I don't think we have any other speakers. Moving on, letters we received since the last meeting consist of community member thanking the board for their service, student requests for access to higher level math classes, legislative information provided by at-large community member, apology and request from a parent, community members' request regarding pesticides used for weed prevention, an invitation to attend the second annual Black Clergy Prayer Breakfast, a personal thank you from a parent to board member Director Ford for her previous service as chair and as an amazing guest speaker affecting positively students. Request by parent for budget committee information, request for a meeting with staff to discuss opioid overdose training for staff per an alumni, community member letter regarding student threats of violence, and a parent's request to stop continued harassment at the school. So we'll now take a 10-minute recess and see you back for the rest of the meeting. Thank you. Okay, continuing on with our board member meeting, we'll begin with the native land acknowledgement. Vice Chair Benaloga will lead the acknowledgement this evening. Are you ready, Vice Chair Benaloga?
Yes. We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District rests on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Molalla, and the Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to work, learn, and be a community on this land, and we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families, both past and present, and that will affect those in the future, and honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Thank you, Vice Chair Benaloga. Next, board members, please turn off your cameras. Director McVeigh will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director McVeigh. Minutes in the board packet, you will find the minutes of the March 9th, 2023 meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Director Schradel, move approval of the minutes from March 9th, 2023.
Thank you, Director Schradel. Is there a second?
Director Benaloga, second.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will call for a roll call here. Director McVeigh.
Aye.
Director Schradel.
Aye.
Director Way.
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga.
Aye.
And myself is aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Consent agenda consists of, in the packet, you will find the consent agenda. It consists of employment changes, policy revisions, ad hoc committee, the 2023-24 interdistrict transfers, K through 12 math curriculum adoption postponement, and travel requests, Sabin-Schellenberg Professional Technical Center, DECA. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? And please read all of the items included for the record.
Director Schradel, move approval of consent agenda that includes the following: employment changes, policy revisions, inter-district transfers, math curriculum adoption postponement, and travel requests.
Okay, yeah, and that travel request is Sabin-Schellenberg Professional Technical Center, DECA. Is there a second?
Director Benaloga, second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded by Director Schradel and second by Vice Chair Benaloga. I'll call for a vote. Director McVeigh.
Aye.
Director Schradel.
Aye.
Director Way.
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga.
Aye.
And myself is aye. Motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Agenda item 1 is the Arab American Heritage Month proclamation. Director McVeigh will begin reading the proclamation.
Whereas for over a century, Arab Americans have been making valuable contributions to virtually every aspect of American society in medicine, law, business, education, technology, government, military service, culture, and
Whereas since migrating to America, men and women of Arab descent have shared their rich culture and traditions with neighbors and friends, while also setting fine examples of model citizens and public servants. And
Whereas they brought with them to America their resilient family values, strong work ethic, dedication to education, and diversity in faith and creed that have added strength to our great democracy. And I think it's Vice Chair Benaloga.
I'm sorry, I cannot find the original script with my name on it, so I apologize.
Whereas Arab Americans have also enriched our society by sharing in the entrepreneurial American spirit that makes our nation free and prosperous. And
Whereas the history of Arab Americans in the U.S. remains neglected or defaced by misconception, bigotry, and anti-Arab hate in the forms of crimes and speech. And
whereas Arab American issues such as civil rights abuses, harmful stereotyping, and bullying must be combated in the forms of education and awareness. And
whereas they join all Americans in the desire to see a peaceful and diverse society where every individual is treated equally and feels safe. And
whereas they join all Americans in the desire to see a peaceful and diverse society where every individual is treated equally. Whereas the incredible contributions and heritage of Arab Americans have helped us build a better nation.
thank you, Board. We'll move then to the motion. Is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
Chair, I move that we approve the proclamation for April 2023 as Arab American Heritage Month in the North Clackamas School District.
McVeigh,
you.
second.
Thank you, Director Way, and a second by Director McVeigh. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Schradel,
aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga,
Aye.
and myself, Bauer, aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Vice Chair Benaloga.
Therefore, the North Clackamas School Board proclaims April 2023 as Arab American Heritage Month in the North Clackamas School District.
Adopted this 13th day of April 23rd. Thank you, Chair. Next, Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month proclamation. Director McVeigh will begin reading the proclamation.
Whereas Asian and Pacific Islander Americans have lived and worked in Oregon for more than 200 years, contributing to the state's rich history, economy, and culture. And
Whereas Asian and Pacific Islander Americans have helped advance our communities prosperous through their contributions to all fields of education, business, the arts, economic development, science, and technology. And
Whereas Asian and Pacific Islander American history is marked by a struggle for freedom, equality, and justice prevailing over the adversity of exclusion, persecution, incarceration, and disparities. And
Whereas the vibrant history and diverse cultures of Oregon's Asian and Pacific Islander Americans and are here to be honored as a central part of our state's history and shared across all Oregon communities. And
Whereas the month of May is nationally recognized as a time to celebrate contributions of Asian and Pacific Islander Americans to our society and collective histories. Is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
yes, Director Schradel, move approval of the Asian and Pacific Islanders American Heritage Month for the month of May,
Thank you, Director
2023.
Schradel. Is there a second?
second,
Thank you, Director Way, being properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
yes, Chair Bauer, I would also like to bring up that the month of May, especially the middle of April, is a really important month for Southeast Asians, particularly our Burmese, Thai, Laotian, Cambodian communities who celebrate their New Year. Through the water festival in Burmese, it's the Jen. And for me as a Burmese immigrant, it's just really important for me that I say that. And there's lots of celebrations that are happening happening this month. There's also one that is called New Year in the Park happening at the end of April, and I can definitely send out more information, but it's a free event. There's lots of food, there'll be culture and activities. So I just wanted to state that is also an important event that we wanted to celebrate. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Way. Appreciate that information. I'll call for a vote on the motion. Director McVeigh?
Oh,
Aye.
Chair
Oh,
Bauer,
I'm sorry.
could I add to that? I am called Baba. I'm very proud to be called Baba by my daughter, who's adopted from China. And I will tell you, it brings her a smile to her face when she hears me talk about these things, how we do show our respect for the Asian Pacific Islanders and talk about that and the importance of the value that they've brought to their culture into our total culture of everybody. So I'm very proud to be a Baba and very proud to have a daughter who's proud to be Asian.
Any others? Didn't mean to cut you off, Board. I appreciate those stories, and that's why we do these, right? That we do these for the students and our families. All of these proclamations have deep meanings for all of our groups. So thank you. Any other comments? I'll call for a vote then. Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Schradel,
Aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga,
Aye.
and myself, Bauer, is aye. If motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Director McVeigh, would you like to finish up?
Sure. Therefore, the North Clackamas School Board hereby proclaims May 2023 to be Asian and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month in the North Clackamas School District.
Adopted this 13th day of April 2023. Next, we recognize licensed staff appreciation proclamation. And starting that off, Director Way.
Thank you, Chair. Whereas licensed staff, including teachers, counselors, and social workers, nurses, psychologists, instructional coaches, media specialists, therapists, speech pathologists, and other specialists are vital to the education of students and who continually strive to promote high expectations, cultural understanding, to prepare graduates who are inspired and empowered to strengthen the quality of life in our local and global communities. And
whereas licensed staff are professionals that advance the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievements of all students. And
whereas licensed staff continually strive for improvement and progress in education with the understanding of the need for commitment to excellence in the district school system. And
So is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
Chair, I move that we approve the proclamation for honoring our licensed staff. Appreciate it.
second,
And okay, it's been moved by Director Way, second by Director Schradel. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will just mention again that all of these teachers and specialists, we're so grateful for all of your hard work. All of us can think of personal stories, how a teacher or a specialist, part of the team, has made a difference with our own children's lives and for us. So thank you so much. And we recognize these are tough times to be working for all of us. Thank you so much. I'll call for a vote on the motion. Director Perez. Nope, he's not here. Director McVeigh.
aye.
Director Schradel.
aye.
Director Way.
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga.
Aye.
And myself is an aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Vice Chair Benaloga, want to finish it up?
Now therefore be it resolved that the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors proclaims May 7th to the 13th, 2023 as Licensed Staff Appreciation Week in North Clackamas School District.
Adopted this 13th day of April 2023. Thank you, Board. And speaking of recognition, we'd like to recognize North Clackamas Education Association and their featured educator. Welcome NCEA Vice President Michelle Arco, I believe.
Good evening, board. Tonight it is my pleasure to announce to you our April North Clackamas Education Association featured educator, Nick Hurlbut, art teacher at Milwaukee High School. Here's what the educator who nominated him had to say. Nick and I share a wall, and I've gotten to know him really well this year. This is my first year teaching, and from the very beginning, he's been an excellent example for me of what an amazing teacher is. Nick has been taking a continuing education class at PCC to enhance his knowledge of ceramics. I was impressed that he's taking this time twice a week to learn more for himself and also for his students. He's always looking for ways to grow with his craft, both by being a professional working artist outside of teaching and looking for artist residences and other ways to get the community involved within the district. Nick is also an excellent QSA facilitator at Milwaukee High School and Milwaukee Academy of the Arts. Getting to work alongside him is always such a delight. He is a strong leader and example for students here at Milwaukee. He is part of the equity team and works to incorporate equity into his classroom. He leads community and restorative circles every day in his classes and is one of the most kind and compassionate teachers I have ever seen. It is very apparent that Nick truly cares for his community as an active participant in collective action, collaboration with colleagues and students, and is definitely a lifelong learner. His passion for continuing education and communication with others showcases his professionalism. He works very hard to cultivate a classroom environment and community that is centered around social justice, equity, respect for diversity, integrity, and democracy. I look forward to continuing to get to know him throughout our time together at Milwaukee because I feel like I have so much to learn from him. Thank you for your time and the consideration of Nick for NCEA featured educator for the month of April. He is unable to join us tonight, but please join me in extending our congratulations for his excellent work on behalf of North Clackamas School District students. Thank you.
Congratulations, Nick. Any board member like to comment? Well, please give Nick our congratulations, and it's an honor to be recognized by your fellow teachers. That's one of the best there is. So we appreciate all of his hard work and building those relationships and care with his students. Thank you, Nick. Board reports. Customarily, board members report on their activity within the school district each month. This time is set aside for each board member to share a report. I want to remind you, we have a full agenda tonight, but we do have 15 minutes allowed. Director McVeigh, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll be quick. Anxious for all of the end of the year activities that happen in the spring. Everyone gets a spring in their step, no pun intended. So all the sports and plays and musicals that will be occurring, looking forward to those. I missed the last benefits committee. I was out of town for work, so thank you for covering, Gina. And then love the participation in the bargaining that's going on. I appreciate all the voices in that room and different perspectives, and it's you always learn a ton. Nothing to report back yet other than it's going really well, which you can't ask for. This district has always done such a great job of having looking at it as teamwork, and it's no surprise that it's going well.
Great. Thank you, Director McVeigh. Director Schradel.
I'll be quick. I want to say I appreciate all the board members that I've got to work with over the years, all the staff, all the administrators, all the certified, classified. I've gotten to know this school district very well and gotten to know a lot of people. And everybody I work with, have been lucky to work with, or had to work with me. We're all here doing it for the students and the community. And so I wanted to say thank you for letting me work with you guys. And I'm looking forward to finishing out the school year, graduation, and people smiling. Be kind to each other. And thank you for letting me talk tonight.
Thank you, Director Schradel. And we certainly appreciate your work, and especially on policy. You are just amazing in policy. Director Way.
Thank you, Chair Bauer. I have one thing. I know it's been a very busy month for everybody, but I attended a great event where the focus was really on lifting up BIPOC youth and voices in Clackamas County, and it was held at Clackamas Community College. It was just a wonderful event, just really listening to just the experiences that BIPOC youth in the county are facing in their schools and their neighborhoods. And so I went there as an adult to really listen, and the event was put on by the Coalition of Communities of Color, Clackamas Community College, Clackamas County's DEI program, Unite Oregon, and just many just different folks coming together to really, center their voices. And we had a strong representation of actually some North Clackamas youth that was a part of the leadership panel, and they also helped organize the event. So I just wanted to bring that to folks' attention. And I think we, have made some progress, but with our youth equity committee that started the beginning of the year, and really want to thank Superintendent James and others for, really helping with those efforts on a day-to-day basis. But we have more work to do, right? The work of making sure that all voices are heard, it never stops. And so I just want to say that. And if there's more events, I will share in the future. But it was just the first year that they held this event, and the turnout was great.
Thank you, Director Ray. What was the name of the event? You kind of broke up when you were first.
Oh,
speaking.
I'm sorry. It was called Step Up Clackamas. And it was basically a research project that the county actually they've been funding with different nonprofit organizations that work with young people. So I believe that they are going to be putting forward this research study out in a couple of months and presenting to their board with things that they are hearing from the community, and especially from youth of color.
Thank you so much for that and your connection with youth. Vice Chair Benaloga.
Yes, thank you, Chair Bauer. On my committees, I've been attending the benefit committee, which is always interesting. I think I learn more from listening to everyone, and of course, Director McVeigh, who is very experienced on the benefit committee, so I appreciate his expertise. The wellness committee and budget as well, which has been informational meetings, and that's been always nice to hear what the district plans to do. And in the beginning, those meetings are really just giving us information about how to understand the budget message. So those have been great informational meetings from our financial department. I was able to attend the foundation board meeting. So our North Clackamas Education Foundation, the gala is coming up on the 22nd of April. I also attended just this week the French curriculum review, had a wonderful discussion with the French teacher who teaches at Milwaukee High School and Clackamas High School. And we were able to go through, Director Bauer and I were there, we were able to go through the curriculum and ask questions and really find out why she's excited about having this particular curriculum for French from now on. And I just wanted to mention briefly that I wanted to remind everyone that next week is a volunteer appreciation week. And I think that that's so important, because no matter how we volunteer, whether that be with our time, whether that be with resources or with time at home or time in our school buildings or time with programs and partners that we use throughout the district and throughout the county, I just want to remind everyone that our district and many of our partners and our programs run because of the many dedicated, wonderful volunteers that we have. And I just want to remind everyone that volunteer appreciation is next week. And I, for one, appreciate all the volunteers and the countless hours of service that our community provides for our school and for the many partners that we use.
Thank you, Vice Chair Benaloga. I also serve on the Youth Equity Committee that we have, and I'm so grateful that that was set up this year by our staff with Vice Chair Benaloga. I learned so much from the students, and they are digging in on some data, and they are responding. They're looking for options. They're looking for ways that they can help themselves and other students. They just have great discussion. They will bring a report to the board in the future before the end of the year. So I know we're all looking forward to that. I attended budget, and I want to remind people that those are great informational meetings that are open to the public. And this is a very important time when we're trying to find out how much money we're going to get from this for the state school fund. But there's a lot of explanation about all the pots of money and where money goes, and what it can and can't be used for. So I encourage you to listen in on those meetings. Check out the dates on our website. The other Director Ford and I made a visit to Putnam High School. There was a request by high school teachers for us to talk about the role of a school board. And I know that Director Ford had the harder classes, and but she made quite an impression on the students. I may have bored some of the students, but it was great getting out and speaking with them. Bargaining, serving with Director McVeigh. Again, there's just so much information, and to learn from the teachers directly and the administrators on what their story is, what their interests. It's all very respectful, but it is going well, as Director McVeigh said. That's the end of my report. So moving on to nutrition services, agenda item 6. I welcome Executive Director of Finance and Business Services, Matt Macara, for his agenda item and to introduce our guests. Welcome, Matt. I think you're on mute, Matt. We all do it.
Sorry about that. I didn't want to hear anyone to hear me coughing earlier. Good evening. Tonight we bring an informational presentation to the board. North Clackamas partners with Chartwells to provide a high-quality nutrition services program to our students. Each year, we review that service to assess the overall health of the program and bring forward changes to meal prices if they are needed. Based on the current state of the nutrition services program, we will not seek any changes to meal prices at this time. With that, I'm pleased to introduce Greg Collins, Director of Nutrition Services, who will provide an update on our nutrition program. Greg?
Good evening, everyone. Greg Collins, Director of Nutrition Services, and we'll get right into the presentation. So thank you all very much for the opportunity to share some news from the nutrition department. On our agenda today, we'll talk a little bit about our team. We'll show how we're serving up happy and healthy to our students every day. We'll hit on some accomplishments, and then we'll talk about what we are focusing on moving forward. And if anyone has any questions, we'll have some time for that. Just a small portion of our team is the Chartwells management team that we have here on site, including myself. We have 3 other managers, Israel, Chris, and Stephen Parks, along with our amazing admins, Amy and Paula, and then our regional support with Paul and Hussein. But as I mentioned, we're just a very small part. We also have, I was worried this slide has been tricky. These are some photos that our team members have provided to us. We have over 90 nutrition services employees, over 100 paraeducators that we work with who run the point of sale system at our elementary schools. And then of course, the courier team that transports the food each day from our elementary bases to our satellites. Moving on, serving up happy and healthy, we'll talk about our innovative programs, welcoming environments, and empowered team members. Our first program is Discovery Kitchen, and it's designed to inspire curiosity and discovery in our students. And each month we have a different focus. And these will be month-long focuses that will expand to our menu, to tastings, to culinary demonstrations, and all sorts of different ways that we try to promote food to our students. Some of my favorite happen in November with Let's Get Cooking. I think it's really fun to share recipes for the students to take home and be able to try them out. And then also in December, I think Spice It Up is really fun. To get out of our comfort zone and to try new spices or new combinations of spices, and with the additional time that they get at home and maybe a bit more availability to try something new, I think that that's a great time to promote that. And it also, this one in particular is without salt. So I think that's a great way to liven up the food without increasing that salt content. Here's a couple photos of recent Discovery Kitchens that we've done. In the top left, we've got Chef Chris, who had a vegetarian burrito at Clackamas High School. And then the bottom two photos are a Discovery Kitchen that had a corn pineapple salad at Happy Valley Elementary. As you can see, a lot of participation. The kids enjoy being with the backdrop and getting to try something new. Having something unique in the lunchroom for the day is always fun for them. Next, we have student choice, and this gives our students a say in what's on the menu. It's a very simple concept. We take a few different menu concepts and we have them compete against each other. And the students get to come up and have a sample from that concept and then vote, and the winning concept gets put on the next month's menu. And sometimes even both. If it's really close and we see that there's a lot of desire and a lot of participation for both of the concepts, we'll add both of them. These are examples of some of the concepts that we have to offer. Most of these have made it out to the students this year. The barbecue, the made to melt, roost, they've all been very popular. They've all had it gets the students excited. It gives them something to try and put their print on the menu. Here's a few examples. Our mac and cheeseology is one of the new concepts we were able to roll out. It takes the comfort food of mac and cheese and enhances it in different ways, adding vegetables, adding different proteins. And so it's one of my favorite was the vegetarian. It was fun to see students think about at least trying Brussels sprouts in their mac and cheese. And some actually do, and it takes something that's really familiar, really comfortable, and adds a fun twist on it that can get some veggies or some different proteins in there. And then the other concept is veg out, and vegetarian meals are gaining in popularity all the time. It's just increasing and increasing, and we want to make sure that that's something that we're offering to the students. So we had this wonderful, great northern bean dip, very similar to a hummus. So we were showcasing that dips like that could be made with something besides the traditional garbanzo beans. And in the bottom right is a spicy marinated cauliflower that was roasted and put into a taco. Both of them were very popular, rave reviews from the kids. I believe that the tacos even made it on the menu. And the last concept is Mood Boost. And this is a fun program that helps students connect the foods they eat with how they feel. So Chartwell's and different groups had some scientific backing on certain foods relating to elevated moods. So during each month, one of these moodies or a group of them, that's the name of the little characters, are the moodies, will appear at the elementary schools, and they will help point out certain foods that could increase your mood in certain ways. So for example, if you were looking to be more calm or more alert, there could be some foods that would help you do that. And so we note them on our menus. We have cutouts and clings, and it kind of spruces up the cafeterias on certain days of the month. And so the moodies sort of show up. And this was actually an award-winning best concept from food management. So we're very proud of it. There's a photo of some of our team giving one of the events in the bottom right, and samples of the trays. And we have little menu cards, sort of collectible trading cards that the students can get to take recipes home and to show which foods would enhance certain moods. Next, we'll move on to welcoming environments. We want the cafe spaces to be as welcoming and engaging and inviting as they can be. So we're constantly trying to find new marketing and different things to help the students feel pride in their space and want to be in that space and attend the meal service. And this year we were able to update all of the elementary schools. And most notably, we have what we call our X banners, is that mood boost that you see. And then we have the new floor menu signs. So nice wooden durable menu signs where we put our daily menu. And then on the wall, most notably in the top left photo and then the bottom left photo at View Acres, you can see the 4 signs. Those are build a breakfast and create a meal menu boards that help the students understand what items can be taken from the service, and also what items are required to be taken in order to complete a reimbursable meal. They are for both breakfast and lunch, and they are in both English and Spanish. And a bit more fun photo, Cascade Heights, when we went to that school to set up the marketing, we were given the opportunity to work with the kids. And so they had their thoughts and we took their ideas on how to best interior decorate the space. And so they kind of helped us choose where to put some of the signs and helped us choose which ones. The only secondary school we've gotten to so far this year has been Clackamas High School, and this is a bit more of a, our concept is called environments, and there's different ones to choose from. This look is called the market, and it's sort of a higher end college food court sort of feel. And so the far left photo is a very close up photo of the station signage that you would see if you went to all of the different areas in which the students could choose food from. And you can see another life-size version of it in the bottom right. Also in that bottom right photo is the overhead sign that matches it. So that is our create station. And so they pair really well together. They look really nice. And another piece that goes along with that in the middle is our 6-window information board. And you can see smaller versions of the create a meal signs in our monthly menu, and a mac and cheese theology flyer, some plant power information. Those things change all the time. All sorts of different information can be put in there throughout the month to keep the students having something new to look at and be engaged with the service. Okay, apologies. We're moving on to empowered team members, and these are a few of my favorite slides. This is our recognition program. Our team members are absolutely amazing. They do a fantastic job, and we want to make sure that we're doing our best to recognize them and share everything that is happening in nutrition. And a lot of it can get bottled up at the individual sites. So one way to make sure that we're hearing about what is going on and being able to share what is going on and recognize the team is we've come up with this Chartwell's Cheers, and we have 3 rounds in the year. And during each round, the schools send us submissions for customer satisfaction, inclusion, safety, food presentation, increasing meal counts, and just let us know about what's going on throughout a several-month round. And once we receive the submissions, we will then review them and send them back a sticker to put on a certain place on their board to denote that they've completed that objective. Then at the end of each round, the teams that do the best, go above and beyond, excel, they get chosen to be the winner of that round, and they get small recognition, a round of coffee, an edible arrangement, some sort of snack or treat. Recently, Chef Chris went and made one of the school's breakfast. So just things that we can do to show appreciation to them. And then after the 3 rounds are over, at the end of the year, then we will choose a few schools to be the school of the year. And they will get a more substantial prize for that. As you can see, the trophy in the bottom left, that was one of the trophies that we were giving out to recognize a school of the year. And so for submissions, these are examples of some of the submissions that come in. We have trays of food that are sample trays for the kids to show what they can take with their meal. We've got a lot of safety. You can see members of our Rock Creek Middle School team sent their safety submission for the round, was showing that they were actively participating in the earthquake drill. So I thought that was a really fun submission. We've got use of a cut glove and use of oven mitts. And then in the top right, Alder Creek Middle School has been using a bit of wordplay with the word mint. And they've been making these bags, filling them with mints, making this, cute little like safety reminder card, and then sending them out to all of the other secondary schools. And so I think there's a bit of friendly competition there, that they're making sure that everyone knows that they're going for the win. And on the far left, you can see some of the thank you cards and appreciation cards that the schools have received from a group of students or from the anonymous administrator in the building. And it's really great to be able to share those. We share them throughout the schools. They make it out to the administration of the schools at times too. And it's just really nice to have that not stay in the school, but also be shared around. Moving on to accomplishments, we'll talk about advancing the program, sharing our story, and then we'll get into our meal counts. One of our main accomplishments this year was transitioning our point of sale system from NutriKids to Titan. We had to go out and install hardware and software on around 80 machines, either point of sale or manager computers. We needed to train the team on all of the new procedures that come along with changing the system. We transferred all of the student and adult accounts from My School Bucks to the Titan Family Portal. And the reason for doing this was providing ease of service for the students and our operators. It gave us cloud-based storage, and that was a much more secure and enhanced security for our sensitive information. So far, it's gone really well. There were a few bumps as to be expected in doing something like that, but I think that it's all fit really well now. Milk dispensers, another one of my favorite slides. It makes me very happy to be able to announce this. We were generously gifted milk machines as a grant from Clackamas County Sustainability several years ago, and the plan was to continue adding them year over year over year. The pandemic put a stop to that, and then once we were actually allowed to use the machines again, we could not procure the milk bags. It just was something that was not available. And this was such a priority that we actually changed our milk vendor so that we could get these bags. So we want to have them. It's a win-win for everyone. The picture on my right is one of my favorite, if not my favorite picture of the entire year so far. The kids enjoy having the milk dispensers. They say the milk tastes better. It reduces a dumpster full of waste every day at a minimum. Paraeducators no longer need to open the milk cartons. So it's just kind of a win-win for everybody. And it took a lot to prioritize that and get it back in the district. And now we're hoping to continue to add more machines, hopefully even this year, and really get that program rolling again. Another big movement was being able to add 8 schools to the Oregon approved community eligibility provision. And in short, what this does is it allows schools under the provision to have all students get all meals free of charge. So meals at no charge after the universal free meal ended last year. This was just a great boon for everyone to have at least these schools be able to continue with that. And there's a lot of rumblings about maybe even more being able to happen in the coming years as we continue to work towards universal free meals. On sharing our story, just wanted to let everyone know that we do have a Nutrition News monthly newsletter. It's got a Chartwell's nutrition focus on it from Discovery Kitchen or some other nutrition focus that we'd like to share that's fun for people. We have a recipe. We also have our individual monthly cheer winner bio, which our nutrition team is gracious enough to answer some really fun questions and have that go out to the community. So it's always fun for me to read them and get to know a bit more. Sometimes we'll throw surveys on there that use QR codes so that we can gather some information from the group. And they're uploaded each month onto the district website. One thing that we haven't shared as much as we'd like are our monthly nutrition moments. We're hoping to get these potentially on the gallery of the new district website or find other ways to share these. They're just really quick snapshots of things that are going on in the district to share again, the great things that our team members are accomplishing. It could be a Discovery Kitchen event or a student choice event. The one in the middle overviews who won, which concept won, and student focus groups, that sort of thing. Just quick things to keep nutrition as a focus. And lastly, we have our average daily meal counts. So this is a comparison between the beginning of school year, September of this year, and this past month of March. And after review, you'll see that each of the top 3 categories, we've gone up in each one of them. It's around 10% increase for breakfast and lunch, and around a 20% increase in our a la carte sales. And then just for a reference point, we're serving 238 dinners on average per day in our CACFP program and 50 snacks per day. And the reason for these numbers, and what's driving our sales is basically a recap of all of the slides before this, the dedicated team making it all happen, offering a lot of choices in our menus, following up on the feedback and making sure that we're responsive on the things that we're being asked to help with. Strong support from the other departments. A big shout out to technology and to facilities and custodial for making sure that everything's working. We come in and the oven's down, it changes things immensely, and they're taking great care of us as a department and our students. Custodial, making sure that a lot of these schools are spotless, something to be very proud of, that for a food service space to be that clean. So we very much appreciate that. And then support from the state when it comes to their free and reduced expanded income guidelines, helping students have access to meals, and the community eligibility program that we spoke about. I'm looking forward. We want to make sure we continue to focus on the student experience, continue recruiting and retaining the best team members, and identifying the opportunities in the ever-changing USDA and ODE requirements. There's a lot of things out there that can benefit us, and we need to be up to date on that, continue to advance our knowledge on that, and be ready to make moves and decisions when it comes to ways to benefit the program and our students. And with that, I'll say thank you again for the time and ask if there's any questions that I could help with.
Thank you, Greg. Raise your hand electronically if you can, or Director McVeigh. I see a real hand.
Real hand, yeah. I couldn't get to my fake one fast enough. One, I wanted to say thank you, Greg. Your team does an amazing job. I love the innovative ideas that you're trying. I had never had hominy before I got married. My wife had never had Brussels sprouts. So we love both of them. So had we been exposed earlier, it might have been healthier. And I just really hope that we can advocate for universal free school meals. We are not a leader. There's lots of states that have passed it. This room knows better than anyone that it's really hard to learn when you're hungry. I have a hard time even working when I'm hungry. So, and people get hungry at different times of the day, whether they might be hungry for breakfast and not lunch, or vice versa. So I think we'd make our kids more regulated, if you would, if they didn't have upswings in their blood sugars. And I hope that we can add staff to that universal free lunches, because it would create quite a community if our staff could be part of the lunch program. So, and I know they do that already, but they do it on their dime. So that's all I have to add. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Schradel.
How do I follow that up? I echo a lot of things that Director McVeigh said. I, for one, do like Brussels sprouts. I have always liked them. So it's important to point out that. We've worked together for many years, and I wanted to say thank you for all the work you and your team have done for the students of the district and our community. And I think I'll just say thank you. I don't think it's fair to actually show food at a board meeting when it's on Zoom. That just seems rude, but we can get past that. Thank you for everything you do for our community and to your company.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you, Director Schradel. Vice Chair Benaloga.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Greg, for a great presentation. I too just want to echo that I love the Discovery Kitchen. I love the student choice. I've actually heard from my exchange students how much they appreciate and they just think that is very cool to be able to choose at school and to be able to choose different items. So I think that is awesome. I did have just a couple of questions. As far as the milk dispensers, do you work with the eco schools for that, or how are we working on getting more milk dispensers, and what can we do to help with that? Because I think they're so neat.
We do work with the Eco School Network, but it has not been for the milk dispensers. That's come from Clackamas County Sustainability, and primarily Laurel Bates has been our contact there. And I think that right now, the only thing we need to do currently is get the interest and involvement of any of the elementary schools that do not currently have one. And I believe that there is grant funding available currently, and then it seems to refresh each year. So our grand plan is to be able to have one in every elementary as soon as possible. And the district could always also purchase them on their own. I think it's that each setup when it comes to a table, the dispenser, the plastic holders for the milk bags, cups, and warewashing equipment to wash them. And it's around $4,000 to get a school set up to have that available.
Okay, but there's such a huge savings, as you said, in just how much is getting thrown away. Just so they're absolutely, I think it would be great to have them in our elementary schools. And just talking about supply chains, you kind of brought up having issues getting those bags for milk. Have other supply chain issues been a problem as far as just having the things that we need to have for certain meal items, or to be able to service each cafeteria?
A lot of that's cleared away. I think now it's more rising prices and surprises. It's something new every day, but I don't feel as I guess I don't feel as concerned about it as I did previously. Okay, excellent. I know we're all seeing supply chain issues and just cost issues as well. So I'm sure that is that's absolutely something that you have to deal with as well. And then my last question is just about open spots and just your workforce. You know, I know that it's a great flexible position. Do we have a lot of open positions right now, or are you fully staffed, or are there still open positions? And what are your thoughts on recruitment and retention? We have around 10 right now. And we've had a new influx of support in recruiting, and that's been really helpful. And so it's a difficult time of year, I think, right now to get individuals to want to come in. And so we're good. And I think our biggest position of need is a district rover. And that's where they will go in and fill in for another team member who is out for the day. So they get to go to a bunch of different schools, have a bunch of different responsibilities. It takes someone who is a bit more skilled, has a bit more experience to do that task. And that's where we're kind of lacking right now. Okay, thank you. And again, I just want to thank you and your team for all that you do. Food is such a universal language, and it's so important for our kids and our staff to feel safe and cared for, and to feel nurtured and cared for. I just think that's so important, and food is such a vital part of our students' day. And I agree with Director McVeigh, having a way forward for Oregon to have lunch provided for all of our students. And I agree, staff as well. I think that's somewhere that we should absolutely be heading. But thank you for everything that you do, and everything that you do to encourage our kids and our staff to eat well and to try new things. Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Any other board members? Director Schradel, you have a hand up?
I forgot to put mine down.
Oh, okay, just wanted to check. Thank you. I wanted to recognize your partnership. I know you've supported our community in so many ways, and I'm always grateful for that. That's quite an increase in meals of 10%. And so after the federal government not paying, so it must have helped quite a bit for the expanded income guidelines and the Oregon community eligibility. Does that cover then most of your costs, Greg?
I would defer to Matt when it comes to the costs on that. And it's a 10% increase from the start of the year over the course of the year till we got to March. Definitely not as many meals as we were serving when it was universally free. That I think is absolutely where we should be trying to get to. It's such a benefit for everyone. There's so many wins for that, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to at some point.
Yeah, I agree, totally. So Matt, how's the budget? I mean, I was glad to hear there's not an increase, but.
The nutrition program is doing well. As Greg mentioned, the increase in meals being served over the course of the year certainly helps that. So, you know, overall in reviewing the state of the nutrition services program's financial health, it's in solid condition now.
Great, thank you. Well, as I think one board member said, food is life. And I like that you are focused on nutrition and culture and variety of foods from all over the world. Thank you so much for your report and good work.
Thank you.
Both. Agenda item 7, transportation update report. And this, I would like to welcome Cindy Dutchin, Assistant Superintendent of Operations, and you can introduce your guest.
Thank you so much. Yes, it is my pleasure to introduce one of the most cheerful and motivational leaders I've had the opportunity to work with. Kathy Calkins is here as our Director of Transportation to share with you some updates. I know some of this is some information that some of you have been asking about. She's going to give you an update on some of our more alternative fuel choices for buses and just give you a general state of the department. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy and she's going to share her screen.
Okay, I'm a Google Meet person, so let's see how it goes here. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yeah,
Not all of it.
hit present. It's slightly off to the side. Maybe it'll do that when you go to present. Yep.
That better?
Yes, there you go.
Bingo. Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me present. It's the first time I've ever presented to a board, so bear with me here. Transportation department is a staff of 172. We just happened to get a picture of them all this year. So major responsibilities are transporting students safely to and from school, build morale and retain staff, transport students to field trips. It's big this year. Sports and educational functions, build efficient routes according to our student population. By the numbers to and from school, our buses average a day 6,069 miles. Our total routes right now are 109. We have 73 general transportation routes. We have 26 special needs routes, and we have 10 van routes. Field trips and miles driven. We have covered 1,500 trips so far this year. Our trips current miles as of now are 54,521. In 2022, to compare that, was a total of 40,814. One thing we're proud about is the Portland Opera. James, my partner, James and Shell Crosgrove couldn't be here today, but he just made sure everything went perfect. All the 4th and 5th graders were transported to MHS and CHS, where a lot of these students wouldn't have been able to ever go to an opera. And we're just very thrilled that it all worked out and it went off without a hitch. We also added GPS to our buses this year. It has been helpful to know where our buses are at all times. We've had situations where buses break down. We've had situations where they break down at the coast, on trips to the coast. The GPS tells us exactly where the bus is. If the radio goes out, we don't always get radio communication at the coast, and it's happened on the weekend. And so when that happens, we know exactly where they are, and that system will also tell us what's wrong with the bus. So it throws a code to the mechanics. They know what's wrong. They know what to tell the driver. They need to head down there, or what needs to happen. So it's great. So thank you so much for the GPS. Our challenges, not unlike other districts, are hiring. We have currently 10 open routes. We are using for our special needs students, contractors, to be able to cover all the students that have come to our district. Despite the challenges we've had, we have been able to cover all routes. We've been at all stops. We have not had to cancel things daily, and I'm really proud of that. Last year, contracted services for special needs for 21-22 in comparison, it was $877,659. And this year, so far, it's been $711,817 and some change. It is 30% reimbursable, but our goal is to bring our kids home. We really want to bring our kids home. They're safer in the buses. We have more control over, what's going on with them. And it's a lot of money that we're spending for contracted services because of the lack of drivers that we have. But it's how we've been able to keep all our routes. This is our new shop. I have to share this with you. I just want to say thank you. I invite any of you anytime to come down and see the shop. Just say hi. We'd love to have you. It's my shop guys right there. They dressed up for you today for the picture. So yay. It's nice. They love it. It's clean. It's just a really beautiful place. So thank you so much for the funds to do that. Okay, fuel. You guys have been waiting for this one. We have all our buses now moved from using diesel, petroleum-based diesel, to oil-based renewable diesel. It costs the same as diesel, like with all fuels, it could go up or down. At the time that I purchased this, or had it priced out, it was lower than the price of diesel. It does burn cleaner. And in my research, TriMet has switched in 2021 and has reduced their emissions by 70%. We have other districts around us that are also using renewable diesel. Beaverton and Hillsborough both went to renewable diesel. Electric purchases. I want to explain to you, because I know everybody wants electric right now, but I want to explain to you why I want to wait. Buses right now, electric buses, they get on average about 80 miles per charge. They advertise them at 120 miles, but we have districts, Beaverton, Hillsborough, Portland Public, and Reynolds, that all received electric buses on the PGE grant, the first one that came out. And their buses, from what they said to me when I was asking them about them, got 80 miles if they were lucky. They spent more time in the shop than they did on routes. And I'm just at a point where there's a grant, PGE grant, that's opening up tomorrow. And I am going to apply for that grant. And I could get up to, we could get up to 3 buses, but I'd like to at least get approved for one, and that's coming later, of course. and just to see for ourselves how that's going to work for our district. There's some infrastructure needs that we need to figure out. Right now, they're at the second generation of buses. The cost is I got them priced out, and the cost was $472,616 for an 84 passenger bus. From the district feedback I shared with you already, our average route miles in our GT buses are 78, almost 79 miles. Let's just say 79. Our average route miles for special needs are 86. Our van route miles average daily are 73 miles. And so what I want to tell you though, we are going to monitor the electric vehicle progress and just so alternative fuels. Later on in the board meeting, Cindy is going to ask for money for propane buses. Propane is a great fuel source. They run around $185,000, which is significantly cheaper than the electric buses. The cost per gallon is about $2.15, where diesel runs at about $4 and some change right now. Per 90-gallon tank, which is what comes on the propane, you get 450 miles. It's a little bit less than our diesel, which has a 100-gallon tank and gets 600 miles. It's important to know that because we have trips at the beach, we go to Seattle, we go a lot of places where there's quite a few miles that we have to travel without fueling. Also, Cindy's going to ask for type 10 vehicles, and there's a picture of one there. We had years ago had gotten vans, which are considered type 10 vehicles. They're easier to hire because drivers that drive our type 10 do not have to have a CDL. There's no CDL needed. And so these are how I want to bring out with the contractors, bring our kids back, get more drivers so that we can, and more of these. And like I said, we're going to ask for 5 tonight. So we can bring our kids home. Currently, we have 12 vans. We have rented vans this year to be able to transport all the needs that we have for our special needs students. And that's at a cost also. So next steps for us is reduce reliance on contracted services. We're reviewing routes for better efficiency. We are going to have professional development for all drivers on anti-bias and understanding the student experience. That's happening in August. We're going to continue work towards a greener fleet, and we are going to be the best we can be. And so with that, I just want to say thank you very much for your support. It is appreciated. I can't tell you how much.
Well, thank you, Kathy. It was great for your first time. You did great.
Thank you.
I'll open it up for questions. Director Schradel, I see your hand.
Yeah, quite honestly, I like going over to transportation. It's, I go over there maybe once a year minimum. So I like to try to get there twice. And I do enjoy going around the facility because before that facility, it used to be 2-3 locations for our, the idea, the cost saving. I mean, the old way, a bus literally would have to be transported to be able to be serviced at a different location. So seeing this brand new campus continuing to evolve, and it's wonderful to see that happen. Electric vehicles, I'm not going to push back on you. Lithium ion and the cooling systems and the energy density. I really enjoy batteries and battery chemistries. So there's big advancements coming in energy densities, and 80 miles per charge is not really what I would think the district needs for range. But whatever the grants are out there, whatever there is to learn and be ready for that transfer or changeover, if it needs to be done, We just need to be prepared. I do want to make one comment about the type 10s or minibuses that take around the students. I'm kind of a big fan of yellow vehicles that are striped. And I say that because
Director Schradel, are you still there?
these are the district students and other things are designed to be safe. Vehicle that is a school bus. Be careful. Those are my comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Schradel. Was there a question there? I wasn't sure. Guess not.
No,
Director-
not really. It was more, electric buses. I'm not hearing any recommendations for that. And everything else I'm in favor of. So.
Okay. Thank you. Director McVeigh, I saw your hand. And
Yeah,
I'll go to Director Benaloga. Go ahead, Director McVeigh.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to, Kathy, you're a natural, so welcome anytime. I just want those that are listening to know how lucky we are to have transportation and bus drivers as employees of our Clackamas School, and those aren't contracted out. We take care of our students better than anybody else. And I think I want to echo what Kathy had said earlier. And then anyone that's listening that wants to make a difference in a student's life, but doesn't want to do it in a classroom or on a field or in a gym or anything, I'm sure Kathy would love to entertain or an application for a bus driver. And, speaking of someone who rode a bus, I wouldn't have gotten to school without one. So it does make a difference in a child's life. So thank you, Kathy and team, for all you do.
Thank you, Director McVeigh. Vice Chair Benaloga.
Yes, thank you, Director Bauer. Yes, I want to also echo Director McVeigh's points that, our bus drivers are the first smile that our kiddos see in the morning and the last face that they see in the afternoon. And it's just so important that they be, valued and respected employees of the district. So we're so glad for all the service that they give. I do want to make two personal comments. You have 173 drivers because Director Ford is a school bus driver at heart. She wants to be a bus driver, so you have 173. I'm telling you.
Second, I second.
Yes.
What about old Matt?
I'm going to speak for I'm going to speak for Director Ford since he's not here. She loves our bus drivers, and then I also want to mention that when I was in elementary school, I went to the Portland Opera, and I saw Carmen. It was my first opera that I saw, and I have been hooked ever since. And it was a wonderful experience, and I'm so glad that we're continuing that. Yes. So I kind of had some questions about safety because there's a lot of safety features. Like there's new, like the leave no student behind alarm systems. There's like these new high visibility windshields. What kind of safety features and what kind of safety things are we thinking about when we're purchasing those vehicles?
So buses that I put in for purchasing are, they're under state guidelines. So I have to tell you, when I came from being in the driver's seat and I got in an accident, I had a guy come down and hit me at about 40 miles per hour. And not one student was hurt on that bus and the car was gone. And it just, when that happened, I realized then these things are tanks. They are like tanks that we're driving around in these neighborhoods in. And there are a couple things I'm asking for in the bids. And one is air conditioning, because it's getting hotter and hotter all the time. And it doesn't cost that much more to get air conditioning on these buses. And number two is we're putting in seats in some of the big, we have some, ants in the pants kindergartners, and, they don't want to sit down and they can't help it. It's just who they are. I was the same kind of kid when I was growing up. So we're putting in fold down seats where we can actually strap them in like a car seat. So they don't, another thing I don't like about the kinders is that they can't touch the floor. You know, they can barely reach out in front of them, and buses are safe. But I feel like it's going to be a lot safer to have these kinders that can't touch the floor, reach out in front of them into these seats, and it'll be better for the driver also. So what else? I'm going to think about a bunch of them when I get off this meeting. That's all I can think of right now.
All right. Well, thank you. That's exactly what I do too. I think of the 9 things I should have said right as soon as we're done. I just appreciate that, because I think that there are things that are preventable. We're not going to prevent everything. And I know that school buses, for the most part, public transportation, it's very safe. Our school buses are safe for our kids. I just think that there are some safety features, and I'm glad that you're thinking about that. And even just the comfort level as far as air conditioning, because you're absolutely right. It's hotter and hotter, and having kids on a bus for 30 minutes to get home in a hot September afternoon when it's 90 some degrees. I mean, it is important to think of just comfort level, and also just not feeling sick and not feeling lethargic. So
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Director Perez, I'll let you go, and then I'll go back to Director Schradel, since you haven't spoken. Director Perez.
Thank you, Board Chair. Yeah, Kathy, thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to say a couple comments and then one question. I was doing crossing guard at one of the schools in recent years, and I remember all the school bus drivers that would come by, and they would always wave and have a smile, and very pleasant. And I remember thinking, I used to ride in the bus when I went to school, and I remember sitting there thinking, how did the bus drivers do it? I mean, with all the chaos at the time, with all the chaos back here in the buses, I used to wonder, how do they do it? And so doing the crossing guard and just seeing the bus drivers go by, I always wondered, how do they do it? And yet there they are, waving, smiling. And I even the other day, I came to an intersection, and I came to a stop, and the bus driver was loading up high school students. And there must have been about 15 cars behind the bus, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to wait for all these cars in the bus to go by. And the bus driver did the coolest thing, and that, oh yeah, go ahead, after he had all the kids loaded. And again, very, very pleasant, and very, the kind bus driver you want. And so when I saw that picture of the 172, it made me feel like, wow, that's the village, that's the bus driver village. It was good to see that. And then I also wanted to say, you're hearing you talk about the state-of-the-art shop that you got. You were very enthusiastic and very excited talking about it. So we could feel your happiness talking about it. And is there anything that you didn't get in that shop? Because it looks pretty impressive looking at the pictures.
The guys love it. They absolutely love it. They're very thankful for it. So am I.
So the only question I had then, Kathy, was for all the folks that are listening, all the families in our community, all the folks in our community that are listening, how can someone apply for a bus driver position if there was interest?
They can go online on the North Clackamas School District website and go into the hiring and put their application in there. They can also call us. We have a recruiter, and she is wonderful. And not everybody is, I mean, we love getting retired folks. It's such a great job for retired folks, students, college students, moms that just want to work while the kids are at school and have the summers and winter break off. That's why I did it. And it turned into a career for me because I loved it so much and still do. So, get on the website, give us a call. We'll get you with a recruiter, and she'll help you every step of the way.
Okay, thank you. I took notes for Director Ford. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Back to Director Schradel.
Thank you, Chair. Kathy, thank you very much for bringing up kindergarten students and buses and not touching the ground. I would be remiss if I did not point out it would be great for all current board members and any new board members to actually understand the different levels of needs of the students through the cycle of their growth as humans. Kindergarten, you kind of need to truly understand beyond the policy. You got to picture these kindergartners sitting in the bus seats without the ability to brace themselves when they go around corners. They can't touch the ground. They're bracing themselves against other students or grabbing the seat backs. I'm not saying our drivers are driving in a way that we have to be concerned. I'm just saying the needs are different for students of all ages. And sometimes we as directors, we don't understand the why. And it's good to get out to the bus barn, the transportation, and actually meet the people and understand the challenges they have. They take care of our kids. So thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Well, thank you again for a great presentation. I want to again thank our community for that bond passage and allowing then you to have all of your facilities together. And I think the neighborhood over there too, it wasn't the best place over by the other, the old Clackamas High, which is Alder Creek now. They were anxious to have you where you are now too. So it was a win-win. We appreciate that. And I appreciate all of the bus drivers and the staff there, especially having to deal with this late winter that we had too. It was an amazing what you had to put up with. But again and again, you're there every day. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Great presentation. Agenda item 8, 2023-2024 middle school and high school student fee schedules. I welcome Executive Director, Secondary Programs, Petra Callan, for this agenda item. And is it you alone, Petra, or do you have a guest?
I will have Joe Bridgman with me. So
Great.
I'd like to bring him along. All right, and thank you. Good evening, directors. I'm going to share my screen. All right, did it all work? Excellent, fabulous. So I'm here to bring forward a proposal for you for our school fees for the 2023-2024 school year. And, you know, we understand that costs have risen for everybody and for families as well as for schools. And it was really important for us to do our best to not pass along additional costs to our families. So for the majority of our fees, we're planning on keeping them at the same level that they were this year and actually that they were the year before. There is one change we're asking for, which is to change the $20 technology deposit to a $25 technology fee. And Joe Bridgman is going to join me to talk a little bit more about the why behind this request.
Yes, thank you, Petra, very much. Just to give a sense for why we're bringing this change to you this evening for discussion, really is highlighted by these 5 bullet points. And the first one is we're really seeing pretty consistent increases in repair costs across the years. Last year, you can see repair costs just for Chromebooks alone was about $98,000. This year, we're estimating year end to be about $110,000. And at this rate, we would anticipate next year to be somewhere in the $120 to $125 range for Chromebook repairs. To give you a sense for what was collected in technology fees for this year, the technology department recouped about $54,000 from the middle school technology fees. So we can see that we're underwater in terms of repairing our Chromebooks. Any fees that would be collected over and above repair costs could be used to supplement the ongoing refresh plan that we're working on for Chromebooks. And then also to give you a sense for how long they last, it's generally about 4 to 5 years. We can see that vary a little bit by grade level. For example, Chromebooks tend to last a little bit longer in elementary grades and a little bit shorter in our middle school grades. And then the other thing we're also looking to do is to align the model. So the current model is the middle school is a technology fee. That's where that $54,000 came from this year. At the high school level, it's a deposit. So the students pay the $20 fee each year, and then it's collected and it's returned to them at graduation. And that trying to keep track of those two different models at the two different grade levels does significantly increase our costs just in terms of implementing and tracking that system. And so part of the reason for our request for the change tonight is just to align so it's the same system across all of our secondary schools, to make it both easier for parents and schools, as well as our finance department and the technology department as well. Thanks, Petra.
Okay, so this next slide shows you what our middle school fee sheet looks like. As I mentioned, it's really the same as it has been for the last 2 years, except for the technology fee. And then the same with the high school fee sheet, the same except for the change in the technology fee. And you also have those in your board packet as well to review. So at this point, we are ready to answer any questions that you might have.
Mitzi, you're on mute.
Sorry, Director Schradel, I
Okay.
see your hand.
Thank you. Fees, deposits. Okay. So curriculum adoption, books. Are we reducing any curriculum books by having Chromebooks?
I couldn't answer that question. I think that's probably more of an instructional question, or Petra, you may have a better sense for that.
Yes, and so we do have more and more of the sort of the curriculum online and used access through a Chromebook than we have in the past. For our high schools, there is still a deposit for textbooks that is returned to students.
Okay. So I'm just one board member, but I think this should be put back to policy. I'm not in favor in any way, shape, or form of thinking that free and appropriate education and access to online curriculum has a barrier to entry for anybody. We, the taxpayers, already pay for everything. I'm not going to vote for there to be fees on access to the 21st century. Period. So why is this even coming before us? Other than I'm enlightened, high school deposit, they get the money back if the thing's not damaged. I can see those things. But if you have curriculum and you're saying that a student doesn't have access unless they give you money, we're looking at this completely wrong. I want to table this.
Director Schradel, I just want some clarity. This is discussion right here, but so your reference is just to the Chromebook fee? You're saying
changing the alignment. I mean, I'm hearing that we're already collecting $54,000 in fees. Did I hear that wrong?
No, there was a fee last year, correct?
Okay, so we are charging taxpayers who pay for everything that is done in any of our buildings. We're charging the public fees, and the curriculum is required to be done on a Chromebook. That is not the correct way to be thinking about this. If we want them to do online curriculum, we provide them the technology to do it. Otherwise, we don't have online curriculum. free and appropriate education.
So one thing that I can add is that with any of our school fees, and I respect absolutely, Director Schradel, what you're saying about access and not charging for access. We do work with families on fees, and so anytime that there is a financial hardship, we are very supportive of that.
Again, I'd like Superintendent Shea to add to this. I'm not talking about somebody who has access to a free lunch program and that we will make accommodations. There are people out there in our community who are already paying the SSF that pays through magical unicorns. They were paid by the taxpayer. And you're doing a secondary charge on them. That's wrong.
Okay, thank you, Director. So you are breaking up a little bit. I think we got.
I don't want to be. My request has been that Superintendent James chime in on this.
Yes, we'll ask Superintendent.
And please don't cut me off. I'm equally elected.
No,
I understand. I understand you have decorum. I just don't want to be cut off when I'm speaking.
No, I was just saying I couldn't hear you. You were cut off. I think maybe it was just my computer or yours.
Thank you for the clarity.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Director Schrader, you're breaking just a little bit, just so you know. You are a little bit.
So I just wanted to be sure I got all of it. Okay. Director or Superintendent James, do you want to reply?
Yeah, I think what I can add, and I may need Joe to step in and help me with this, is that when we stood up our one-to-one devices, that was when COVID hit and we went to full online programming. There were quite a few grants and one-time monies that were provided to us that allowed us to purchase the devices, the Chromebooks for all of our students. Those monies are no longer available. And what you saw
I'm on the phone.
What you saw on the screen was the repair costs, not the cost that we're looking at annually in order to replace the Chromebooks within the 4 to 5 year timeline that that Joe shared with us. And so we are looking at how are we able to continue to fund the one-to-one devices, which also gives many of our underrepresented students access to online, not only online curriculum, but options to help them with resources for their homework, options to help them with resources for their research, et cetera. In addition to that, I would say currently right now, with the $20 fee that is returned, the deposit that is returned, it is costing us money to give those monies back to our family. So we're actually going into the red because of the process that it takes in order to do that. And that's where I may need a little bit of help from, either Matt or Joe or Tiffany to help. I see Tiffany may be ready to jump in with that. So I would add those things. And then Tiffany, it looks like you're going to jump in and add there.
Well, I'd like to add to that by, if you're providing access to curriculum, there is no financial fee. Unless you're charging fees for book replacements. Because if it's access to getting to curriculum, that will be evaluated on how they do. How do you charge people for public education?
Yeah. So I guess the computer, what I can share is the computers are more than just curriculum. The Chromebooks are more than just curriculum as well. And so many of our teachers are utilizing them for their instructional strategies for students to be able to do research, to also level the playing field in terms of having access. And so, yes, and we do also do, curriculum through that. And I think that we have really worked with the board over the last few years to try to lower the fees to the degree that we can. We heard you very loud and clear before that said, parking was kind of one of those things that was optional for folks, but everything else to the degree that we can lower that we can. But we are in a space that
Superintendent James, I just want to, I want to understand. Are families expected to pay outside of the tax system to have access to a laptop, Chromebook, to access curriculum during the day, during school hours? Is it the district's position that the district's going to charge the public who already pays for everything? And you're saying the things need to be replaced. Books need to be replaced. Is there a CapEx savings that has been taking place by not having to buy as many books? And should that not be accounted for the financial benefit to roll into technology maintenance? If you save one book, if you save one ream of paper, you're saving money by having this technology. And where's that OpEx money going?
Yeah, if you're looking for a specific amount of dollars in terms of that, we would have to bring that information back to you. But
I heard $54,000. I heard $54,000 in fees were collected in the middle schools. So stop charging fees for people to have access to technology because you're requiring these students to do curriculum online or take the requirement away.
Director Schradel, can we hear from Tiffany Sharman and then any other board members? And we may have to have another discussion later about this too, but let's hear from Chief of Staff Sharman.
I'm happy to weigh in on two pieces there about the fee versus the deposit notion. We can discuss if either is worthy or not. Obviously, that's at the board's discretion. With the deposits, one of the things that we're finding is taking in money. We can take in money. We can chart that to a student. We can keep track of that. The returning of deposits at graduation is a very expensive proposition, based on how much time and effort it takes to determine, does it go to parent one listed on the Synergy in the student's record? Does it go to parent two? Does it go to the student if the student's over 18? We have to make sure that we have proper documentation of check requests happening at the school level. Then once a check is cut, it has to go through the system of getting the check developed, check out to the right person. Then this is where it kind of goes over the edge in terms of expense. In the state of Oregon, if we issue that check and no one cashes it, we have a responsibility to make 3 attempts to then get a hold of the family member or the parent. And you can see how en masse with 1,600 graduates who may or may not be being really attentive to that one check that's coming at graduation, then we have to turn it over to the state of Oregon. So you can see, I want to make sure that everybody sees that it becomes quite complex when it's a deposit situation given current state law, and how difficult it is to actually cut this many checks with the proper documentation for accounting and cash handling. Just wanted to address that fee and deposit kind of question around the expense necessarily inherent there. And then I also wanted to make sure, just to ground the conversation back in policy, as a board, you have always leaned on your policy. You do have a policy, JN, around student fees, fines, and charges. And you also have previously adopted fee schedules, including the fee schedule that stands currently for middle school, has about 10 or 12 fees. And then for high school has about 20, I'm just ballparking it from a look at the list. So just wanted to make sure that you were grounded back in your own policy about student fees, fines, and charges. and your authority around determining fees or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear any other board members' input for the discussion? Director Benaloga.
Yes, I just had a quick question, just kind of going back to that whole deposit aspect. Are we already issuing a deposit back for textbooks for our seniors?
I'd have to look at Matt for exactly how that's working with the seniors currently.
Yeah, I would need to do a little research on that on the textbook side. That's not an issue that I've researched previously or as much as it isn't an issue that's come up quite the way that the deposits associated with Chromebooks has.
Okay, I would appreciate that information just because we just trying to understand what the differences are and how deposits and refunds are handled. I think that would be an important aspect for us to understand.
Director Benaloga, one thing I can share with you in terms of the deposit fees with the Chromebooks is one thing that makes it a little bit different is it's at each of the grade levels that we're returning the fees every year versus textbooks that happens at the end of senior year. So we may have some, money that we're I guess dealing with as Tiffany shared, but not from all of the 4 years. And then in addition, I would add, and maybe I may have been misunderstanding a little bit from Director Sharital, is that also online curriculum is in some cases more expensive for us than our textbooks. It's not free for us, and it saves paper, it saves environment, and it does other things, but there's still a cost for us. And as we are battling having sufficient state school funding in order to carry out all the pieces that we needed to. So those are just a couple things I would add.
Any other comments from board members? So what I'm hearing is that Director Shradle, you have some asks. One of them, it sounds like, is asking for budget costs of curriculum that we no longer have, comparing that to this fee that we're charging. And I would like to know, it sounds like if we don't and change a fee, we have policy that we would have to change. And I think I heard you ask for changing policy. Is that correct?
I thought it would be wise to put this back to policy because I do agree that there are things to charge fees for. The question I have is the fundamental. Is it parking a car, which we offer buses for, so somebody doesn't have to park a car, versus access to curriculum? If we're telling the students they're not required to pay the fee to get the free and appropriate education, then that's fine. If we're saying you're required to have this fee, I say that the taxpayer already pays that fee.
So I'm going to ask the board, are you thinking this is something you want to send back to policy?
I would appreciate it.
So I hear Director Shradle is for that. Can I ask Director McVeigh, are you in favor?
I would support whether it goes to policy or just board governance or some sort of rethinking, because I hadn't really thought about what Director Shradle had brought up, and there's some valid points.
I do have one question for staff. These fees, how soon do you need them approved, or is there a timeline on it? Petra, I guess I'm asking you.
Well, they would go into effect for next school year. So we would really need, by the time we start school, actually during registration time, which is a little bit before the first day of school, to be clear, so we can be clear with everybody.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time. Okay.
Actually, I need to interject there that board policy says that these will be printed in this or will be available in the student and family handbook. So it would have to be prior to the publishing of the student and family handbook for next year. So we'd have to look to our community relations and other teams that work with that particular handbook. I did not mean to interject, but I wanted to make sure that.
No, thank you.
If it's helpful, our next board governance meeting, do we have time? Would that work as far as, it's more of a philosophical question. I understand staff has to do the work of the outcome of philosophical question, but would that give enough time?
Do you know, Chief of Staff Sharman, when that has to be published?
I don't. I really don't know when.
Okay. It sounds like we need some follow-up. Cindy Dutchin.
Yeah, we actually do the student handbook in two parts because right now, current families who are verifying their students' information for next year are already in that process, and they have to click a box that says they've received the handbook. What they're clicking the boxes is this year's handbook, but we will send out the new handbook again in August, just prior to school starting. And so they'll get an updated one then. So it's a little confusing. We have to do it in two parts only because they're verifying this early.
Okay. Okay. Let's just continue. Director Wei, any thoughts on this?
I'm happy to entertain just more education. I appreciate Director Schroedel for bringing this up. And I do think I want us to revisit this and see how it lines up with our values and our board, our strategic plan that we have for the next several years. So I think it's worth revisiting.
Director Perez?
Yeah, quite honestly, thank you, Board Chair. Quite honestly, what Director Schradel said made me think. And yeah, whether we discuss it at board governance or back in policy or revisit it in some way. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hearing a majority. Let's get back to the board. I'll talk with the superintendent and the vice chair, and we'll get back to you on this. Okay. Thank you for the discussion. It was lots of information. More to come.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the calendar, the 2023-2024 calendar is next, and it is in your board packet. It's got lots of nice colors on it. Any comments? This is for discussion, and I assume it will be an action item at our next meeting, but Director Schradel, is your hand up or no?
I just lowered my hand. I apologize for that.
So I'm looking for hands. Anyone have any comment on this? Generally, there's 2 regular meetings a month, except during spring break. And I think the month of November and April, this year we had so many budget meetings that we had just 1 regular meeting scheduled. Seeing no hands, no comments. I'm ready to move on. Agenda item 9. That was it. Okay, now on to policy, right? I welcome Chief of Staff Tiffany Sharman on this agenda item. Thank you for hanging in with us.
Of course. Good evening. It's my pleasure to be here. We have policies here for you tonight. There were 2 sets of policies. The first you took action on in your consent agenda. Now I'm moving on into the policy revisions that are in the discussion section here of your board packet. I have tonight for you 3 policies. These are just for first reading and discussion. I'm not seeking action. The policy revisions were reviewed by the superintendent's policy review team, including the board member representatives, and we have support from that team for the recommendations. First, I have for you is policy DBEA, and this is regarding the budget committee. While there's a lot of lines and a lot of language there, the primary driver for bringing it forward is that in 2021, there was a Senate bill passed to establish educational equity committees in districts over 10,000 students. We're one of those students or one of those districts that now will have an education equity committee. It was referenced earlier tonight, I think by Director Way, perhaps, or someone referenced it earlier today or tonight. That committee, the way the Senate bill is written, is that moving forward, a member of the Educational Equity Committee will be appointed to the Budget Committee for the school district. So moving forward, once we have any openings on the Budget Committee, the board will look to select a member of the Educational Equity Committee to fill at least one vacancy. It could be more, but at least one vacancy. I do want to make sure that everybody knows that doesn't mean that we replace somebody who's sitting right now as an appointed Budget Committee member, but when there's an extra vacancy, that will become part of our process. DBEA now addresses that piece. Next, policies EH and policy KBA, both coming forward with recommended language from the Oregon School Boards Association to better align the policy with statute. You would find if you look throughout our that set of policies that we had been trying to maybe produce a shortened or an abridged version of some of the state statute language to make it more digestible for staff, for others who may be looking at it. And in doing so, when districts do that, sometimes they leave out key information, and OSBA is really encouraging us to drive back to that state statute instead of trying to interpret it. So revise the language here. Neither of these change a practice necessarily in North Clackamas, but is definitely helping, for instance, to encourage people to look at the actual retention schedule for data and data management right on the state's website. That's what I have for you tonight. Those three policies. I'm of course available for any questions.
Any questions for Chief of Staff Sharman? I don't see any hands. You did a great job explaining it. And I thank you I had some questions. I'm no longer on policy and I saw a lot of red lines and you answered all of them and we shared the information with the board. Thank you so much for getting.
Of course, it'll come back at the next meeting then for your, hopefully for your approval. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is Maximum Healthcare Staffing Services. I welcome Executive Director of Human Resources, Michelle Riddell. Welcome, Michelle.
So I'm coming to you tonight with a new item. Last fall, you may have recalled, staff shared with you some of the challenges we have in filling some of our classified vacancies, and specifically our special education paraeducators. In addition, we continue to have challenges hiring classified substitutes. So last October, we took an innovative approach and started using Maxim Staffing Services to provide staff to temporarily fill those vacancies while we continue to recruit and hire our special education paraeducators. So I'm pleased to tell you that that it has worked very well for our district this year. We still have about 21 special education vacancies, so we are still using Maxim. And one of the things that we have discovered as well is that we can actually hire some of the Maxim employees directly after 6 months of their services with us with no fees. If it's a good match. So that's something that is definitely being considered. But with this, we have spent approximately $105,000, and I'm here to request approval to spend up to an additional $170,000 to get us through the fiscal year. And I am happy to take any questions you might have.
Board, I open the floor for any questions. Seeing none.
This is Director McVeigh. I recommend authorizing NCSD staff to expand up to $275,000 with maximum healthcare staffing services to provide special education paraeducators to temporarily fill current vacancies.
I hear a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Let me,
I would just comment, finding a temporary agency that allows you to hire them after 6 months with no fees is a huge win.
Agree.
great, thank you. So we'll call for a vote. Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Schradel,
Aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
Director Perez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga,
Aye.
and myself is aye. So this motion passes for authorizing NCSD staff to expend up to $275,000 with maximum healthcare staffing services to provide the special education paraeducators to temporarily fill the current vacancies. So thank you very much, board. Thank you. Executive Director Michelle Riddell. Contract award, school bus and vehicle purchases. I welcome Assistant Superintendent of Operations back, Cindy Dutchin, for this agenda item.
Thank you. I think our presentation earlier this evening set us up nicely for this request for the board to approve the purchase of 10 77 passenger buses. These would be for general transportation, and an additional 5 of our type 10 special needs buses for just a little over $2 million. We're utilizing a cooperative agreement contract that Eugene School District has already gone out and done the research on this. It's a very common practice and allowed by public procurement law to allow us to piggyback on an existing contract for things such as buses where there are only a couple of companies who provide them, and we don't have to use staff resources to go out and do procurement bids when the cost of the bus is not going to change. So that's what we're here tonight. I believe Kathy probably addressed many of the questions that might typically come up, but she has stayed online should you have any of those additional questions.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
This is Director McVeigh. I move approval to purchase. I'm reading from my phone so I can get it. The purchase of 10 general transit, 77 passenger buses, and 5 type 10 special needs, 8 passenger vehicles for $2,396,443.35 from Western Bus via the Eugene School District contract.
Thank you, Director McVeigh. Is there a second?
Second. Director Perez.
Perez, thank you. So being properly moved and second, is there any other further discussion?
I do think Director Schroedel had a point about yellow buses and just warning. And I don't know if we've ever looked at vinyl wraps, but it is cheaper than paint. And if we could get some vinyl wraps on those 10 passenger vans, that alerts other drivers that we got youngins on there, and be extra cautious. But that's just my 2 cents from a great idea.
I'll let Kathy address that. I had not heard everything that Director Schradel said earlier because of the mic cutting out. But Kathy, that was a picture of a white bus in the type 10. Are we actually getting yellow buses? And that was just a picture, or are they white? And what can we do about it?
So they are white. And again, we're under state guidelines. All school buses are white. Type 10 vehicles, all they're safe because they're made by our school bus industries. I don't think I could get them in yellow. I know I can't get them painted in yellow. However, the wrap is a great idea. And I just have to check with the Oregon Department of Education to see if that's, if that's okay with them. So, okay.
Any other discussion?
Director Schradel, I'll just say I appreciate the research into it. This is our most valuable cargo. So, and I know that you take that very seriously.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Let's call for a vote. Director McVeigh,
Aye.
Director Perez,
Aye.
Director Schradel,
Aye.
Director Way,
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga,
Aye.
and myself is aye. Motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last agenda item, superintendent contract extension. I just want to say thank you to our superintendent. We really appreciate you. She had a very successful evaluation. So now I'm opening the floor for a motion.
Move approval of contract extension with Superintendent Dr. Shay James through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Second was
Schradel.
Director Schradel. Okay, thank you. Being properly moved and second, is there discussion?
Director Schradel, I just want to say how lucky we are as a community to have Superintendent Shay James at the helm. This has been a wonderful transition from administration to administration, and to have the same superintendent is incredibly valuable.
Thank you, Director Schradel. Any other comments, discussion?
Thank
I will call Director who?
Director Benaloga.
Okay, go ahead, Director Benaloga.
Thank you, Chair Bauer. I too just want to say that it is an honor to serve with Dr. James, and I appreciate working with a leader that leads with heart and passion and empathy for our community and a true love for our district. So wholeheartedly am happy to extend the contract.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, I could just make a quick comment. Board Chair, I just echo what Director Schradel and Benaloga have already said, and just Superintendent James, I don't know how you do what you do. It's pretty, and the team that you've gathered around you, it's pretty impressive. We are truly very lucky, and I don't know that people in our community realize how lucky we are to have you and your staff that you've created around you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Director McVeigh, that's a clap, not a hand raise.
I was trying.
Okay, no, it did look different. I just want to verify. Yeah, I agree with all the comments. Thank you so much for all your hard work. We're very lucky to have you. I will call for a vote. Director
Aye.
McVeigh.
Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Did I hear McVeigh say aye?
I tried. Aye.
Okay. Director Perez.
Aye.
Director Schradel.
Aye.
Director Way.
Aye.
Vice Chair Benaloga.
Aye.
And myself is aye. The motion passes with a vote of 6-0. Thank you, community, for being here to learn about our many district programs and the work we do. There's a lot of information tonight. This is the opportunity for you to obtain the correct information and help you understand the role of a board member. There is some misunderstanding at times. We are at the 20,000-foot level, and we work very collaboratively with our staff. Thank you, staff, for all your hard work in preparation of the reports. You did a great job. Thank you, board, for doing the important work required to support each and every student and staff. We're a team, and I'm thankful and proud of the work that we do. It is now, what time is it? I have 8:56, and this public session meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors is adjourned. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Night, y'all.
Good night.